Hello, my name is Jiso and I'm reading Master Dōgen Shōbōgenzō still. And we are on Kie-sanbo, chapter 88, Taking Refuge in the Three Treasures. When the world-honoured one was in the world, 26 kotis of hungry dragons came together to the Buddha's place, and all of them shedding tears like rain, they addressed him. Solely we beseech you, have pity and save us, all compassionate world-honoured one. We remember during a past age, although we were able to leave family life in the Buddha Dharma, we perpetrated to the full various bad actions like these. Refers to an account earlier in the sutra. And because of the bad action, we expended countless bodies in the three evil states. Further, because of the residual retribution, we have been born in the world of dragons and have suffered extremely great agonies. Buddha told the dragons, now you must all receive the three devotions and single-mindedly perform good. By virtue of this cause you will meet, during the Kalpa of the wise, the last Buddha therein, whose name will be Tower Arrival. May represent the meaning of a Sanskrit name, or it may be the transliteration of the Sanskrit sound. The original Sanskrit has not been traced. It sounds like somewhere in an airport. In the age of that Buddha you will be able to expiate your sins. Then when the dragons had heard these words, they all exhausted their lives with utmost sincerity, and each received the three devotions. The Buddha himself, in saving the dragons, possessed no other method and no other technique. He simply imparted to them the three devotions. The dragons had received the three devotions in a past age when they left family life, but as a result of karmic retribution, they had become hungry dragons, at which time no other method could save them. Therefore, the Buddha imparted to them the three devotions. Remember, the world-honoured one already has certified, and living beings should duly believe that the merit of the three devotions is supremely valuable and supreme, profound, and unthinkable. The Buddha did not cause them to recite the names of the Buddhas of the 10 directions. He simply imparted to them the three devotions. The Buddha's intention is profound. Who can fathom it? Living beings today, rather than vainly reciting the name of every single Buddha, should swiftly receive the three devotions. Do not be so dull as to squander great merit. At that time in the gathering there was a blind dragon woman. A lot of dragons in this chapter. The inside of her mouth was swollen and inflamed and filled with all kinds of grubs, as if it were excrement. It was foul. It was as foul as the uncleanness within a female organ. Oh dear, that's not going to go down well, Dōgen. Actually, this is a quote from a sutra, but anyway, the stink of fish being hard to bear, blimey, and all kinds of things were feeding off it so that pus and blood oozed out. All parts of her body were constantly being bitten by mosquitoes, wasps, and various poisonous flies. The stinking organs of her body hardly bore perceiving. At that time, the world-honoured one, with great compassion, seeing the dragon woman's blindness and her suffering of such distress, asked her, little sister, what circumstances caused you to acquire this wretched body? In past ages, what actions have you done? The dragon woman answered, world-honoured one, this body of mine is now beset with all kinds of suffering. I do not have a moment of respite. Even if I wanted to describe the suffering, it would be impossible to explain. I remember the past 36 kotis of years. For hundreds of thousands of years I've been suffering like this in the state of a wretched dragon, without so much as a kasana of respite day or night. The reason is that in the distant past, during the 91st Kalpa, I became a bhikshuni in the Dharma of Vipasyan Buddha. Vipasyan Buddha. The first of the 7 ancient Buddhas. But I thought about matters of desire more than would a drunken man, even though I had left family life. I was unable to accord with the Dharma. I spread bedding in a Sangharama, the resting place for the Sangha, i.e. a temple, and committed any number of impure acts in order to indulge in passion and to feel great pleasure, or sometimes greedily seeking the property of others, I appropriated an abundance of the offerings of the faithful. For such reasons as these, during the 91st Kalpa, I was always unable to receive the body of a god or a human being. I constantly stewed in the fires of the three evil states. Stewed. The Buddha asked further, if it was so, at the end of these middle kalpas, little sister, where will you be born? The dragon woman answered, with the force of my past karma as causes and conditions, even if I am born in another world, when that kalpa finishes, I will be blown back by the winds of bad karma and reborn in this state. Then that dragon woman, having spoken these words, made the following plea. All compassionate world-honoured one, please save me, please save me. At that time the world-honoured one scooped some water in his hand and told the dragon woman, this water is called the medicine of wish-fulfilling joy. Okay. Now, honestly speaking, I say to you, in the distant past I cast aside body and life in order to save a dove, and to the end I did not waver in resolve or feel stinginess arise in my mind. If these words of yours are true, you will be completely cured of your terrible affliction. Then the world-honoured Buddha took the water in his mouth and showered the body of the blind dragon woman. All her terrible afflictions and stinking organs were totally cured. Already cured, she pleaded as follows. I now beg the Buddha that I may receive the three devotions. At this, the world-honoured one at once imparted to the dragon woman the three devotions. This dragon woman, in the distant past of the Dharma of Vipasyan Buddha, became a bhikkhuni. Although she broke the precepts, she may have seen and heard what is penetrable and what is impenetrable in the Buddha Dharma. Now she personally meets with Shakyamuni Buddha, and begs that she might again receive the three devotions. Receiving the three devotions from the Buddha must be said to be due to densely accumulated good roots. The merit of her meeting the Buddha must inevitably have derived from the three devotions. We are not blind dragons and are not the bodies of animals, but we neither see the Tathagata nor receive the three devotions under the Buddha. Our meeting Buddha is distant, and we should be ashamed. The world-honoured one himself imparted to the dragon woman the three devotions. Remember, the merit of the three devotions is profound and immeasurable. When good King Shakya did prostrations to a wild fox and received the three devotions, everything rested upon the profundity of the merit of the three devotions. When the Buddha was staying in a banyan grove by the city of Kapilavastu, Shakya Mahanama came to the Buddha's place and spoke thus. What is an upasaka? The Buddha then explained to him, if any good son or good daughter is in sound possession of their faculties and receives the three devotions, this person is then called an upasaka. Shakya Mahanama said, World-honoured one, what is a one-part upasaka? The Buddha said, Mahanama, if a person receives the three devotions and also receives one precept, this person is called a one-part upasaka. Mentioned there, the 5 precepts taken by lay people in Buddha's time were often taken one at a time. Becoming a disciple of the Buddha invariably rests upon the 3 devotions. Whichever precepts we receive, we invariably receive the 3 devotions first, and after that receive the precepts. Therefore, only through the 3 devotions is it possible to obtain the precepts. The Dhammapada says, once upon a time, the god king Shakra, inwardly knowing that when his life ended he would be reborn as a donkey, lamented interminably and said, the only one who can save me from this agony and misfortune is the Buddha, the world-honoured one. I'm sure being born as a donkey would be quite so bad, would it be, today? Then he went to the Buddha's place, bowed his head to and prostrated himself upon the ground and took refuge in the Buddha. His life ended there and then, before he had risen, and he was reborn in the womb of a donkey. The mother donkey broke her bit and smashed some clay pots at a china shop. The potter struck her. In due course this caused injury to her womb, and Shakya returned to the body of a god king. The Buddha said, "As you let go of life, you were taking refuge in the three treasures. Returns from your sins have already ceased." Good King Shakra, on hearing this, attained the first effect. What an odd story. In general, in saving us from the agonies and misfortunes of the world, the Buddha, the world-honoured one, is unsurpassed. For this reason, God King Shakra hastens to the place of the world-honoured one. While he is still prostrate on the ground, his life ends and he's reborn in the womb of a donkey. Due to the merit of Shakra's devotion to the Buddha, the mother donkey breaks her bit and tramples on some pots at a china shop. It's funny the way he sort of retells the story. The potter strikes her. This injures the body of the mother donkey, and the donkey in the womb is destroyed, whereupon Shakra returns the body of a god king. That upon hearing the Buddha's preaching, Shakra attains the first effect is the influence of the merit of taking refuge in the three treasures. Therefore, the power which swiftly frees us from the agonies and misfortunes of the world, and which causes us to grasp and experience the supreme truth of Bodhi, may be, in every case, the power of taking refuge in the three treasures. In general, the power of the three devotions not only frees us from the three evil states, it also re-enters the body of God King Shakra. It not only attains effects and rewards in the heavens above, it also becomes sacred beings who are Shrotapanas. So you're going to have that one written in the back? That's a new word for me. No, he doesn't. Okay, I'll have to look that up later. No, I've lost it. Shrotapanas. Truly, the ocean of the merit of the three treasures is immeasurable and infinite. When the world-honoured one was in the world, human beings and gods experienced such happiness. Now, in a latter 500-year period, following the extinction of the Tathagata, how can human beings and gods do anything? Do anything, even. At the same time, the Tathagata's statues, shariras, and so on are still abiding in the present in the world. By taking refuge in these, we also will gain the merit, the kind of merit described above. Hopefully I don't have to go through the whole bit of being a donkey fetus. Mizo-u-kyo, the Sutra of the Unprecedented Episodes, says, the Buddha said, "I remember numberless kalpas ago on Mount Sita, in the great kingdom of Vima, there was a wild fox being chased by a lion, about to become prey. While running away, the fox fell into a well. It could not get out and spent 3 days there until, resigning itself to death, it spoke the following verse. What a miserable fate, beset today by hardships, I will lose my life in a hillside well. All myriad things are inconstant. I regret that my body was not eaten by the lion. Namas, I take refuge in the Buddhas of the 10 directions. May they be notified that my mind is pure and unselfish." The god King Shakra heard the naming of the Buddhas. Awed, his hair standing on end, he became mindful of eternal Buddhas. He thought to himself, I am alone and unprotected and without a guiding teacher, and addiction to the 5 desires is drowning me. At once, accompanied by a host of 80,000 gods, he flew down to the well, intending to investigate in full. Then he saw the wild fox at the bottom of the well, paws clawing the earth, unable to get out. God King Shakra again thought to himself and said, "Saintly person, perhaps you consider that you are without ways and means. Although I now see the figure of a wild fox, you are assuredly a bodhisattva, not a common instrument. For, kind gentle person, the verse you spoke previously was not common words. I beg you to preach for the gods the pivot of the Dharma." At this the wild fox called up in reply, "Though you are a god king, you are uneducated. While a teacher of the Dharma is down below, you yourself remain up above, entirely failing to practice courtesy. You ask to hear the pivot of the Dharma. The water of Dharma is pure and able to serve people. How can you intend to obtain for yourself such a tribute?" God King Shakra, on hearing this, was greatly ashamed. But the gods in attendance laughed in surprise, saying, "If the celestial king alighted there, there would be no benefit at all." God King Shakra thereupon addressed the many gods. "Pray do not harbour surprise or fear at this. It is due to my being stubborn and closed and lacking in virtue. Without fail, we must hear from this fox the pivot of Dharma." Then Shakra hung down a celestial precious robe, taking hold of which the wild fox emerged above. The gods served to it a meal of nectar. The wild fox, taking sustenance, gained the will to live. Unexpectedly, in the midst of calamity, it had come upon such good fortune that its mind was set dancing and its joy was boundless. The wild fox widely preached, for God King Shakra and all the gods, the pivot of the Dharma. It's another very odd story. This is called the story of God King Shakra doing prostrations to an animal and making it his teacher. Clearly we have seen God King Shakra's making a wild fox into his teacher may be proof of how hard it is to hear the name of Buddha, the name of Dharma, and the name of Sangha. The present fact that, aided by long accumulated good, we are meeting the Dharma bequeathed by the Tathagata, and that night and day we are hearing the precious appellations of the three treasures, we will not regress with the passing of time. Just this may be the pivot of the Dharma. Even celestial Marapapiyas, idealistic devils, may escape affliction by taking refuge in the three treasures. How much more may other beings be able, in respect of the merit of the three treasures, to pile up merit and heap up virtue? How could we fail to ponder it? In sum, in practicing the truth as disciples of the Buddha, we first, without fail, make venerative prostrations to the three treasures of the 10 directions, request the presence of the three treasures in the 10 directions, burn incense and scatter flowers before them, and we then, in due course, perform all practices. This is just an excellent vestige of the ancestors and an eternal convention of the Buddhist patriarchs. If any have never practiced the convention of taking refuge in the three treasures, know that theirs is the Dharma of non-Buddhists, and know that it may be the Dharma of celestial demons. The Dharma of the Buddhas and the patriarchs inevitably has, as its beginning, a ceremony of taking refuge in the three treasures. On a day, Shōbōgenzō, Kie-sanbo, on a day of the summer retreat in the 7th year of Kencho, 1255, 2 years after Master Dōgen's death. I finished copying from the late Master's initial draft. He had yet to reach the stage of an immediate draft, a fair copy, and so on. Doubtless during the Master's revision there would have been additions and deletions. Now such procedures are impermissible, and so the Master's draft reads as it is. Final comment was added by Master Koen Ijo. Thanks for listening.